People, one word. Are you ready for it? Holy freaking wow. No, that was more than one word. All right, look, this market, a monster rally today, and we are going to put that into perspective big time. We're going to talk about what we can expect moving forward. Now, look, today's rally was a monster. But again, none of you should have been surprised because I explained to you just yesterday, on my markets to look ahead, that I expected a bounce here in this market. What drove this 1,300 point rally in the Dow Jones Industrial Average? It was actually multifactorial. Let's talk about crude oil. Crude oil finished up almost 6%. Crude oil drives the entire energy sector and the financial sector. When it gets bid up, stocks love it, lifts the whole market higher. Financials got bid higher. Those two sectors, energy and financial, they are the driving force behind the market. Also, of course, it was some tech stocks that got miraculously bid substantially higher. I'll give you one guess who's supplying the funds. Okay. So absolutely, the next thing is the bond market. And I've been urging you, in fact, yesterday, to watch the bond market, watch the debt market. We're stabilizing here. I cannot stress to you how important it was for this bond market to stabilize. If we did not see a stabilization in the bond market today, this market would have plunged another 1,000 points instead of gaining 1,300 with regard to the Dow. Crude oil and this bond market were factors here, but there's a bigger one. There's a bigger one, and it's everywhere. And I'm going to tell you, it looks like we have found, you might want to sit down for this, but bear with me a minute because I'm going to kind of make a joke. We found a cure here for not just the coronavirus, but for supply chain disruptions. Yeah, say that 3 times fast. Supply chain disruptions, supply chain disruption. I can't even say it twice. But look, here's the deal. Of course, this is not true, but for the market, it's very true. What did we find out? Well, the market now, it's getting baked in. I want to talk more about that. There is going to be multiple rate cuts, dramatic, moving forward. Goldman Sachs, the super bank, came out today explaining that, not only is the Fed going to cut rates, they're going to cut dramatically. Wait a minute. Who said that several weeks ago before the Wall Street super bank? Oh, yeah, that was me, wasn't it? Yeah. So easy. We know what they're going to do before they do it. So, the promise of epic sums being pumped into this market. And our president today, let's talk about our president today. Let's all bow. Our president today explaining negative rates, cut. So how you cure the coronavirus, at least for the market, is you promise to pump it with more debt than you could possibly imagine and put this on the back of who? Of the United States of America and its citizens. You put that debt on their back. The Federal Reserve and the President of the United States are working together to issue in more debt. And you know what this means. The more debt a central bank issues, the stronger they become. The asinine, ridiculous, laughable joke of the century is that President Trump is trying to take down the Fed by issuing more debt. He's going to cause them to go bankrupt. No. You see, these people don't understand central banks, and whoever's putting out those little memos, I got one myself, is deluded. They don't understand central banking. They don't understand that the goal of central banks around the world is to issue more debt. Yeah. And when you have a sitting president calling for negative rates, cut rates, cut. This is Jay Powell spraying all over his shorts. And the president, after this 1,300 point gain in the Dow, after promises of more debt, negative rates, well, he's doing the same thing. Yeah, that's what he's doing too. He's loving it. Again, it issues in the final solution, the New World Order. That's what we have here, and you are a slave. You have no say-so in what the Fed does, what the president calls for. You think you're free? It's an illusion, like everything else. So the promise of epic sums of debt being pumped into this market. The promise of negative rates, a burden that is going to have to be borne by the American people as our debts and deficits explode to the upside. Oh yeah, that's going to be stock market positive. That's at least what the market is banking on. But we're going to see, of course, how this plays out in reality. Remember where we are. Well, we are in no man's land where no man or no woman has gone before. We've never seen a moment like this in history before. We have nothing to weigh it against. We just have a central bank doing everything it can to fulfill its destiny. And a president making sure it happens. It wouldn't change under any Democrat. It would be much worse. That's the truth. But again, understanding central banking at its core requires not even one functioning brain cell. All you need to know is the more debt a central bank is allowed to issue, the more powerful they become, the more slaves they create on a global scale. Why? Because the Fed is the central bank of central banks. Why? Because the US dollar remains the world reserve currency. We have killed millions to make sure that we have a petrodollar and the fiat monetary system. We will continue to kill millions and fight wars to keep this going. No one president, for those that are still deluded, can change or will change a darn thing. Snap out of it right now. Snap out of it. You think the president is trying to take down the Fed by making them bankrupt? They can't go bankrupt. They can't do it. It's impossible. Nothing is going to be blamed on anyone. Who? Really? Oh, the last meltdown, did one member of the Fed get replaced? Who got blamed for it? Did any bigwig, any CEO of a Wall Street bank, did he end up, or she, in handcuffs? No. You bailed them all out. And you bailed out the banks just recently. And guess what? You're going to do it again. You'll do it with your blood, your guts, your sweat, and your tears. And until people start to wake up and speak out and say, Mr. President, how is more debt and how are negative rates going to help us or cure the coronavirus or help supply chain disruptions? Try to say that 3 times. Well, again, he can't tell you. The president cannot tell you that negative rates are going to destroy you. They're going to, he might float out the lie, oh, we can service our debt. We can service it? What does that mean? If we're serving it, so what are we, slaves to the debt? Oh, I guess so, Mr. President. See, you cannot tell anyone the truth about central banking, Mr. President. You cannot tell anyone the truth about negative rates, Mr. President. You cannot tell anyone, Mr. President, that you are issuing in the New World Order and creating debt slaves on an industrial scale, on a pan-global scale. By your actions, Mr. President. Debt is not the answer unless, of course, you work for the Federal Reserve, and we all know that's true. Every politician works. They are slaves to the central bank. The world is not run by presidents, kings, queens, or monarchs. Wake the F up. Okay, you got it? It's run by the Fed. It's run by the central banks. And you can see what they're doing here today. The promise of easy money. Oh, man. And of course, it was crude oil getting bid higher like almost 6%. It's an incredible situation. People, like I always say, bet against this debt. Become your own central bank because we know what they're going to do. They're going to inflate and inflate and then inflate some more. This next Fed meeting in a couple of weeks, they're going to cut. They're going to cut dramatically, the Fed. They're going to cut more. The president knows about this. Look, they meet in back rooms. Him and Jay Powell, they probably have a nice little circle jerk together with the other members of the Federal Reserve. Rubbing one off. Oh yeah, negative rates. Let's get the Fed at the top of that pyramid. That's what they're doing. That is what they're doing here. Okay, if you think that that's not what's going on and the president hates the Fed, really? Have you heard him one time mention what the Fed did today or any other day, pumping tens upon tens upon tens of billions into the debt market? They pumped $55 billion into the repo market today. Did you know that? No. Why? Because the president didn't mention it. And if he doesn't say it, you don't know what's going on. No one's going to talk about it. No one's going to mention how the Fed is buying the entire yield curve. No one's going to mention how #Woodrow that Steve Mnuchin is telling the Wall Street banks and the New York Fed to buy the market. That's also a lifted stocks today. Are you kidding me? You think this is real? You do? You think all this is real? Oh, okay. Interesting. Anyway, look, I think this video is really important. I made a few jokes, but I don't think I said a damn thing that's not actually factual. The circle jerk is included. Believe me, the circle jerk is a real thing. It's going on probably right now. All over the freaking Oval Office, you know? Anyway, and we're being laughed at. We're being laughed at as we are being forced to bear the brunt of all of this debt, negative rates. Anyone here in the United States holding an interest-earning account is being robbed blind. The Federal Reserve has a target of a 2% inflation target, and the 30-year yield is not even close. You think that's normal too? Yeah, in New World Order, it's normal. But and again, we know who the king of that is, who's helping issue that in, don't we? DJT. Yeah, that's exactly who it is. If you don't get it, I've hurt your feelings, you can always unsubscribe. It's very simple. Anyway, if you are a lion, if you are someone that understands that what I am saying here is 1,000% true, well, then you have a couple of choices. One is to make this thing work for you, and you know how to do that. You bet against this debt. You become your own central bank. You bet against fiat currency by holding a non-central bank issued mode of transaction. You know what I'm referring to here. It should be pretty simple. You trade this market and you convert those profits into hard assets. You weaponize the system against them, because I promise you, you and me, they don't care if we live. They don't care if we die. They'd rather have us dead. That's the truth. Anyone with a brain, anyone that's able to think a little bit outside the box, and I'm talking about a little bit, is their arch enemy. Okay, so if you follow this blog and you can comprehend what I just covered here, you are public enemy number one to the Federal Reserve and the president and all these other imbeciles trying to run the show. And that is not the government that you think I'm alluding to. No. I'm talking about the central banks, which are the government. All right, I'm out of here. Love you a lot. Please share the video. You're the greatest. See you in the morning.